Hey guys, and welcome to part 31 of Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver. In the last part we made our way through Victory Road and got to the Elite Four, so it would be a good idea to actually defeat the Elite Four, so I think that's what I'm going to do. So even though this is actually meant to be the Elite Four of Kanto, of the same it's meant to be Indigo Plateau and the same Pokemon League, it's actually not the exact same trainers. There's some of the same trainers, but not all the same. So instead of having the Ice type trainer, that woman, we actually have a Psychic type trainer to start us off. So I mean, in terms of tactics, of course, whenever going into an Elite Four, I always try and check what type they are and make sure that I have some sort of Pokemon to type match them. So straight away going to this battle, I was like, okay, this is a Psychic guy, so I'm going to type match them by using Shadow Ball with Mr. Sublime. But of course straight away, as you can see, I used the Fluff, and the reason why I used the Fluff is because the Fluff is an electric type and his first Pokemon is Santoon, which is a part Psychic type, part Flying type. So my plan was to use Discharge to take out Santoon because the Fluff has pretty high special attack. So I thought that I could use Discharge quick enough, I would be able to take out Santoon without that much problem. But unfortunately for me, Santoon knows U-turn, which I actually did not expect. I had no idea Santoon knew the attack's U-turn. Because I'll be honest, this Elite Four, I didn't do it on my first try. It took me quite a while to do this. So it used U-turn. I had no idea what was going on. But luckily for me, it sent out Jinx, because that still meant that I could use the Fluff and use Discharge and not have that much trouble with it. Because okay, the Jinx has Psychic and strong attacks like that, but the Fluff has really high special defense. So overall, Jinx wasn't going to do that much to the Fluff, so even though I put it to sleep, the Fluff was still okay, and eventually I managed to get enough Discharge in to take out Jinx. So that was his first Pokemon taken out, and I mean, I think this is just the nature of the AI. Whenever the AI swaps out a Pokemon, if you defeat that Pokemon, it always swaps in the original Pokemon straight away. So I thought that the Fluff was just far too weak to take on Santoon, because I've done this battle a few times, so I knew that the Fluff was a much better choice here because Discharge just did a lot more damage. So I didn't want to use Mr. Sublime here to use Shadow Ball because I knew it wasn't that strong of a choice to use. But because the Fluff was so injured, I couldn't send the Fluff in, so I sent in Mr. Sublime. Santoon, see, this is the main problem with this Pokemon, is that it uses Confuse Ray, which is a massive pain because I hate confusion, and it just messes you up, and it's just unnecessary, and it's too luck based. But I mean, I was lucky in this case because sure, Mr. Sublime hurt himself originally, but in the second time it managed to get a Shadow Ball in and take out Santoon. Unfortunately for me, there was a second one that's even stronger than the original one, but once again I thought that the Fluff was far too weak to actually take on this Pokemon because it has so little health, so I decided to keep Mr. Sublime in to try and use a Shadow Ball because Ghost, I mean, if it's not obvious, Ghost is super effective against Psychic. That's why I'm using Mr. Sublime, because it has high special attack and it knows Shadow Ball at the same time. So I kept in Mr. Sublime. I got really lucky that Mr. Sublime didn't die. It only has 1 HP left. I managed to get in the Shadow Ball, which both did a ton of damage and lowered its special defense, which is really useful. So I thought that I even needed to heal the Fluff or heal Mr. Sublime, because I needed one of those Pokemon to help me out here to take out, because Santoon is actually his strongest Pokemon, so I needed either the Fluff or Mr. Sublime to still be in the game, or otherwise I would have been screwed, or it would have been a massive hassle. So I decided to heal Mr. Sublime because it was already in, and I knew that after I healed Mr. Sublime, there was no way in 2 turns that Santoon was going to take down my health enough that Mr. Sublime would die. So I managed to get in. Yeah, so I managed to get in my Shadow Ball, and that's his main 2 Pokemon taken out. So, of course, Will is the first member, so he's not really going to give you that much trouble here. But I mean, I'm just, you know, you still got to be careful. So Exeggutor is part Grass type, part Psychic type, so I thought rather than wasting Shadow Balls on Exeggutor, I'll send out York, because York has Lava Plume, and it's really high special attack, and I knew Exeggutor just wouldn't be able to take the hit. So, I mean, once again, Exeggutor goes down. Pretty much every time that I did this battle, York was able to use Lava Plume and take down Exeggutor. I had absolutely no problems there, so I mean, I would say that's lucky, but it's not. But so his last Pokemon is Slowbro, which is Water part Psychic type. So obviously the Fluff is a natural choice, but of course I wanted to send out the Fluff, but I couldn't. It wasn't going to be that simple because the Fluff only had 36 HP. And even though Slowbro looks like a complete idiot, it can actually do some damage. I mean, seriously, look how dumb Slowbro looks. Just nobody's eyes are like that. Just. So I decided to use Charge because I thought that Slowbro would use a special, or whatever attack Slowbro would throw at me would be a special attack. So I thought if I used Charge, that would A, both raise my special defense, and B, raise my discharge when I finally hit Slowbro with my discharge. Because ultimately, even if I used discharge straight away, it might have killed Slowbro, but it wasn't guaranteed. So I thought I'll play the safe bet and use Charge, and yeah, that's it. Will is actually pretty easy. If you have trouble with Will, then you should probably go back to Victory Road and do more training, because he's the first gym. And of course it's quite easy to have Pokemon that are weak against Psychic, but the reason why they have Psychic Pokemon in this generation, or in this game, is because for the second generation, they actually balance the game a lot more against Psychic types. So that's why they have Psychic Pokemon in the Elite Four and at the beginning, because they balance Psychic types, so you should have something that's pretty decent against them. So you shouldn't have anything, you shouldn't have a lot of problems against Will. Now the second guy is Cougar, which is super cool, by the way. That's a really cool idea, because it actually gives this impression that this world is actually taking place 2 years after the first one. I think it's actually might be 3 years, but yeah, because if you don't know, just in case, Cougar was originally gym leader in the first generation, and he was the poison gym leader. So he was, I think officially he was the 5th gym leader of the first generation. And now in this game he's actually been promoted, so that's really cool. And it's an idea that we're going to see a lot more in this game and in the second generation. The idea of this is the world you're exploring, but it's already been explored, and we're going to see it a lot later on. So one thing I want to throw out there, that this design of Fortress is really cool. I don't know what it is, but I love this design. I don't know, I think it's how dark the purples are, or it just hits that right shade of purple that I think it's really cool. But god, it's so cool. I don't know what it is, but I didn't think Fortress was cool in the originals or anything like that, but for this particular game I just really like it. So Cougar's his poison type, in case you didn't play the originals, and poison type, their main weakness, or the weakness that you want to exploit, is Psychic. But of course I didn't want to just use Mr. Sublime for the whole battle, so that's why at the moment I'm using the Fluff, because I knew the Fluff was strong enough to use Discharge enough times to take out Fortress. Although I'll be honest, I sent out the Fluff because I thought Fortress was Water type, and I thought that, you know, Electric is super effective against Water type. It turns out it's not super effective against Fortress. Fortress is not Water type, so I was a bit of an idiot for assuming that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The fluff got the job done. I just kept using discharge, so it wasn't too bad. So we've already taken out 2 of his Pokemon, and this is one Pokemon I was actually quite afraid of fighting, Muck, because whenever I fight Muck, I can't quite get the weakness right. Of course Muck is a poison type, so I know to use psychic types now, but Muck is a lot stronger than I give it credit for. It's always a Pokemon that you never really think is a strong Pokemon and that you're going to have trouble with, but every time I seem to have some sort of trouble with this Pokemon. I mean, it just doesn't really make that much sense. So luckily with me, in this case, I had Mr. Sublime that could use Psychic, so I just hit it with Psychic, which is a stupidly powerful attack. And with how high Mr. Sublime's special attack is, I didn't really have much problems there. So, I mean, I want to say I got lucky, but really I just, you know, picked a good squad that was going to ultimately win. So really, I don't want to brag, but I'm just throwing that out there. You know, that's how it is. I mean, you know. So we have Crobat, which Crobat is a Pokemon that people really love. They seem to really love adding Crobat to their squad. I've never really got why, but I mean, if you love Crobat, you love Crobat, and that's fine. But because it's poison type and flying type like Golbat, I sent out the fluff because Mr. Sublime was already really damaged, so I couldn't really keep Mr. Sublime out there and use Shadow Ball because that just wouldn't do that much damage then. So I decided to send out the fluff and take advantage of the fact that it's part flying type and use charge and discharge. And unfortunately I got hit by a poison fang that was a critical hit, but fortunately I was smart enough and lucky enough to get a critical hit with my attack, and that took down Crobat. I mean, Crobat can give you a lot of trouble, but really none of his attacks are that strong, so ultimately you should be okay. And at this point the fluff was about to learn Signal Beam, which is a bug move, and bug moves are actually a lot better than everyone gives them credit for, because they're just really useful against certain Pokemon, but there was no move I really wanted to get rid of, and I just thought, no, I don't really need it, because it doesn't get the same stab, because the fluff isn't a bug type, so it's not a stab move, so I thought forget about it. So his last Pokemon is Venomoth, and Venomoth is bug and psychic type, and Venomoth is a Pokemon I actually really like. I think it's really cool having this kind of psychic moth creature. I think that's a really cool idea, but Venomoth isn't a common Pokemon, it's not his strongest Pokemon, and because it's part bug, so I sent out York and used a fire type move, and of course it was super effective and managed to take out in one. So I mean, I didn't really get lucky there, it's just York is strong enough to take out that Venomoth. So yeah, so sorry to cut it off so soon, but next time in Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver I will take on the rest of the Elite Four, so don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.